Hello, everyone. Rachel here, Treehouse Knits. How are you? This is episode 48. I was upstairs in my studio and I realized that I have a lot of stuff that I want to share with you. So I pulled together some show notes and here we are. Happy New Year. Happy 2020. I don't know about you, but December, there were so many fun things going on in the fiber world, especially the virtual fiber world. I loved seeing all of the amazing socks that were made with Natalie Sheldon from Remembrances Pottery. Her pattern, it was the scrappy color work pattern. I know if you're on Instagram, you've seen them. There was not one that I just didn't say, oh, that's so cool when I saw it. So I loved watching that. I also loved Opera Joanna from Stitching the High Notes, watching her Vlogmas that she has done for the last few years. She's that opera singer in San Francisco. It is so fun to watch you, Joanna, and all your shenanigans behind the scenes at the San Francisco Opera House. And it's just fun to live vicariously through you with all the musical goodness that you have in December. Also, in the stitching world, cross-stitching floss tube world, Pam and Steph, their escapades in the Netherlands. If you're a stitcher, you know about those two and how they got an all expenses paid trip to the Netherlands from a, oh gosh, what are their names? They're the twins. I can't think of the name of the company, but they, Pam and Steph worked with them to kind of make us aware of their beautiful designs here in the United States. And in return, they got an all expenses paid trip. And then the biggest news of all is that me, yours truly, is going to Norway end of February through beginning of March. Maybe you've seen it on Patricia P410 on Instagram, Knitography on YouTube. She is hosting a retreat in Norway and I am a lucky, lucky girl and I get to go. I'm so excited. And of course, I would love to take you guys along virtually with me. So I'm going to try and do a really good job of doing some good posts on Instagram. So if you don't already follow me on Instagram, I'm at Treehouse Knits. And I will probably be doing a lot of stories from Norway and a few posts, but mostly stories just kind of as the days progress. But I'm so excited. You can see on Instagram some of the other ladies that are accompanying me to Norway from all over really the world. So excited for that to be happening. And that coincides beautifully with the New to You Knit Along 2020. That's hashtag New to You Cal 2020. I am joining along again, as I did last year, with a bunch of amazing podcasters. And we are being actually hosted for this knit along by the lovely, lovely ladies at Cocktail Hour at the Coop. So my new to you contribution, I've never been to Norway. And so I decided that I want to go ahead and make the Trondheim mitts by Pia Kamabornia. And or Kamaborn, I should say. Here, I'll insert a picture right here of the mittens. And I plan on knitting those in the next month. Please join along with us if you'd like for the New to You Knit Along 2020. All you have to do is do something new within the fiber arts that you've never done, obviously, before. I'm going to have a posting. I think what I'll do is I will draw from a Chatter and FO thread on my Ravelry page. So I'll put a link down below to that, and I'll just draw from that for the prizes. I'm still waiting on a couple things for my prize from the Treehouse Knits podcast. So when I get that, probably the next time I podcast, I will share with you the prize on my end. So I am so excited about this Norway trip. I'm actually going to be flying through Newark and meeting along the way. I believe Paige is on my flight. I think Joyce is on my flight. And I think Lori from Chickenwood Studios is also on my flight. So I think the four of us are flying. I think we land in Amsterdam and we go through Oslo. It's 3 flights. It's going to be a long, long day of travel, but who cares? I am so excited. And I am just going to start praying right now that there is no bad weather happening in the Midwest or the Northeast as we are trying to leave town. Right now, it's Friday and we are expecting an ice storm tomorrow, so I hope this doesn't happen when I'm traveling. So today I've got some FOs, some whips, talk a teeny tiny bit about my weaving. I've got a bunch of things in the mail that came that I want to share with you. And then I have a list of things that I have been loving that I thought I'd share with you, because I love when podcasters and other people share with me the things that they love. So I'm going to share some of those things with you. And then we are going to end with a poem from my Aunt Margaret. Remember the Aunt Margaret files from a long time ago? If you're a longtime viewer, she sent me something that I'd love to share with you. So let's get started. So first thing I want to share with you that I finished is the SS Hohi, as I'm lovingly calling this sweater. It's her super simple summer sweater, which I don't know about you, but I don't wear sweaters in the summer, but maybe she does. I finished it. Here it is. Very stripy. I just have to weave in the ends on the arms. I forgot to do that. I'll insert a picture here so you can see it a little bit better, but those are my colors. I tried it on. It's a very, very warm sweater. I will, you can find all of my finished projects on my Ravelry page if you're interested in the yarns, but the yarns that I used are worsted weight woolly wools. So it is a very warm sweater. Maybe I'll try and wear it this weekend during the ice storm and see how it goes. But I wanted to wear it for this podcast, but it's just too warm today. It's like almost 50 degrees. So instead, I am wearing my finished object number 2. This is the Bonjour.hi. If anybody can tell me where that phrase comes from, I'd love to know. But this is the Bonjour.hi what do you call it? Cowl from Espace Tricot. It's a free pattern. It's very similar to the other one I did with bulky weight, the Getting Warmer cowl, and I love that one. So I used a skein of yarn that my husband bought in Vancouver. You might remember me showing it to you. Information on that is definitely in the show notes, so take a look at that. I did hold it with a strand of black mohair. So this is really the first time I've ever used mohair. And I always crack up because when I watch other podcasts, whenever they're showing mohair, a lot of the podcasters are going like this and nose itches and stuff. I'm probably going to be doing the same thing. I don't think I'm a fan of mohair. I love how soft it is and I love the fuzziness of it, but I don't know, the mohair just kind of flies all over. And it is definitely warm though. I almost feel like the sweater might be cooler than this mohair cowl, but I really like the cowl. It's doing what it said it would do, falling over my shoulders. I guess I could bunch it up in a coat. It's a free pattern, so if you're interested, check it out on Espace Tricot's website. The other thing that I knit a lot of were socks. I gave a lot of socks away. You can see some of my socks that I cranked out. I didn't really crank, but I knit them on my knitting machine, knit the tubes, and then I insert the toes and the heels. I did a lot of those for Christmas gifts for family members. You can check those out on my Ravelry page as well. So those are really my projects, my knitting projects that I worked on since the last time we chatted and finished. My works in progress. I really, really, really wanted to get dear Sven here his woman for Christmas, or at least for a date for New Year's. But she's still a work in progress, as we all are, aren't we? Maybe I'll try and get her done before I go to Norway, huh? Where I'm at right now, I've got her cute little red skirt done, and I'm knitting up her knickers, and I'll get her shoes done. I'm gonna give her a scarf, and I'm gonna do some sort of hat, and I'm actually showing you the back end. She has eyes and a nose right now, but we'll make her really pretty with her blonde hair. But that's Solvieg. This is all Barrett Wool Co., their kit that they put out a long, long time ago. And it's just a dream. I love this yarn. One of the reasons I want to get it done too is I will have a ton of leftovers of this Barrett Wool Co. yarn, and I know it'll be great for color work. I almost want to get maybe a sweater's worth of this yarn in one color that'll kind of go with all the other colors, and design maybe a yoke or something for it. But that's where we are with these two lovebirds, and hopefully they will be together very, very soon. Okay, the other thing that I worked on, we had our January guild meeting a couple of days ago, and our topic was actually knitted jewelry. And, you know, a lot of us go to these summer fiber festivals, and you can't really wear, I mean, it's usually really hot at the festivals near us, and you just can't wear your woolies, but you want to show the world that you are a knitter with a capital K, don't you? So when I went up to Wool and Honey last summer, I think it was July maybe, I wanted something to wear, and I remember I showed you this. This is from Suzanne Sommer, the designer. I pulled it off of Ravelry. It's like a $2 US kind of kit, and you make, it's called the Chevron necklace, and I actually took an old necklace I had with a silver tassel, and I kind of took it apart, put the chevron in between, and then hung the tassel, and it was just really, really fun to wear up to Wool and Honey. So a lot of the guild members liked that idea, and we spent the meeting working on that pattern. I have started knitting up another one. This is the base color. I thought it would be really fun to try this rainbow color and see what it does with the chevron, and then accent it with these colors. I like to wear a lot of white in the summer, so I thought that would be really nice on a white shirt. So here is where I'm at with this one. I'm using this stitch marker to make sure I remember that this is the front side. But here's where mine's at right now. Obviously the ends aren't woven in. And I went ahead and made a tassel for this one out of the yarn. Let's see if I can kind of demonstrate what it's going to look like here. And then what we decided to do, I went on Amazon. I really wanted to get some of that black velvety rope. And I found on Amazon you could get 50 of these already pre-made chains for not a bad price. I mean, I think it was like $12. It's a black cord, and it comes on one end with a lobster clasp and the other end with a little chain that you can, it's meant for making pendants, and then you have the ability to make your necklace smaller or bigger with this extender on it. But what we decided to do is to use two of them, putting the lobster clasps on the end that's going to attach to the chevron, and then you can either just cut off the extender chains and use this as a tie to tie behind you, or you can do that fancy tie where it's kind of like the magic knot ball, where you've got a knot on this side, a knot on this side, and then you can slide it to make the length that you want. I hope I'm making sense. And that seemed to work out really well. I'm going to ask for permission from Kendra in our guild if I can insert her project right here. And I'm sure she's going to say I can insert it, but I will check with her. But here's Kendra's version, and it seems to be working out pretty well. At least, you know, at least they had something that they could make it into a necklace. So I just wanted to share that with you. Now I have this tassel maker from Clover. That's how I made this tassel. Clover has a really great video on their YouTube channel on how to make tassels, and theirs is even fancier than mine. But this is a really nice tool because it allows you to hold the two ends of the tassel when you're making it. You're wrapping it around here. This extends larger or smaller, and then it's got grooves up here and here where you use your scissors to cut. So if you're interested in learning more about the tassel maker, check out on Clover's website their really nice demonstration on it. All right, so those are the two whips I thought you might be interested in. I did a lot of weaving. If you follow me on Instagram, you saw that the Franken Loom now has a, I don't know, what do you say, a little sister maybe? I haven't named the new loom, but I got a new loom for Christmas. It's an Ashford 24-inch rigid Heddle loom. I got the stand with it. And let's see, so I'm not sure what I showed you last time. Now this was still done on the Franken Loom, but this scarf, I wanted something a little more masculine for my husband. This is made out of Berroco Sesame, and I just let the yarn do the work, and it kind of made this plaid like scarf. I mean, I didn't have to do anything. So that was, I love when yarn does the work for you. I did a terrible job of hemming, so I'm gonna figure out how to be better at hemming. But this Sesame is really cool because it has a little bit of these nubbins, this tweediness to it, and it's really soft. So that was for my husband. And then what's really interesting, I think, with weaving is that it makes acrylic yarns even better, look even better than they do in the skein. I don't think knitting does a good job of making acrylic sing, but for some reason, I wanted to try this yarn. It intrigued me so much in the skein. I have on my Ravelry page the yarn. I think it's called Millefiori, and it is wool and acrylic. And I love the pattern that it made. Now I used my new Tassel, what do you call this thing? This is I think it's like a fringe twister. I think that's what it's called. Schacht makes this particular one. And I twisted the fringe with it. So that was my first time twisting fringe, and then that was so fun. It's a time-consuming process, but I think it's worth it in the end. It really kind of finishes your scarf nicely. So then I got my new loom, and I wanted to try a pattern this time. You know what? I should go back to the fringe twister because you guys might be interested in learning how you use this. So this is the pattern that I did, a houndstooth pattern, my first attempt, and it really isn't a challenging pattern to do. It's a lot easier than I thought it would be. The trick though, for me, at least for the houndstooth, was in the beading and beading it so it's an even weave. So it's all in the beading of it. You'll see when I first started out, I was beading a little too hard and it was just showing up as a line. But right about here, I thought, let me try and bead a little lighter, and look at how the houndstooth showed up. And you can tell when I sat down, when I left and then I came back, I started to beat a little harder, and then I caught myself right away. And then as the scarf goes on, I got a little better and better. Here's another area where I beat a little too heavily, and then I got back in the groove. That's interesting. I haven't really looked at it closely like this, but then I finally loosened up. I have not thrown this in the water yet because I wanted to twist the fringe. So let's go back to that fringe twister. It won't be easy for me to do, but I'll explain to you what you do. You can, with this one, you can use 3 strands if you want. So let's say I was going to want to twist 3. You'd pick your 3, and then you would attach each one to these clips. And then what you do is you spin, and it twists the clips, or it twists the yarn, and then you carefully unclip them, tie it in a knot, and when you let go, the 3 strands go, and it makes this. Maybe if I'm feeling like it, I will insert a video here, but if that didn't happen and now I'm continuing to talk, then you know it didn't happen. But trust me, it's a really fun process. I think my friends at Guild were a little mesmerized by it. I know I was at first when I first did it. So a neat tool. Now you could twist fringe by hand. I cannot imagine though. I think my fingers would fall off. This is just so handy and satisfying. Okay, so that is my weaving. I've got my next project going in my head right now, but I have not yet dressed my loom, which is terminology for putting your warp in your loom. The warp are the yarn. It's the yarn that goes top to bottom or front to back. The weft, rhymes with left, is the yarn that goes left to right, or the yarn that you're using with your shuttle and beading in. You know, there was something interesting that I discovered when we all know about thrummed mittens, right? Do you guys know thrummed mittens? I want to see if, I don't have a pair up here. Thrummed mittens are those mittens that on the outside, you see the little dots of a different color yarn, and the inside they're really furry because of all the extra fiber. I never understood where the term thrum came from, and I was reading, I think in a knitting book I got from the library, and they talked about when you cut your final project off the loom, when you cut it, basically what's happening is there's a rod, and then your yarn, your warp is going around that rod, and when you cut it in front of the rod, you're left with these little pieces that come off the back that made up the back loop, and they called those thrums. And that was kind of a ding, ding, ding moment for me, that I'm thinking, this is just my hypothesis, that the weavers did not want their thrums to go to waste, because there is quite a bit of waste in weaving. And somebody who also knit decided, well, I'm going to use these and stick them in this mitten so that it makes the mitten warmer, or the slipper warmer, or whatever, the hat warmer. Because we call those thrummed mittens as well. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Okay, so we talked FOs, we talked whips. Let's talk about some things that I got in the mail. I got in the mail the December crate. I think you can still buy these yarns on Knit Crate, probably at a discount. This was the sock crate. Look at that green. It's beautiful. Uro yarn scoot sock. Colorway is garland. It's 70 extra fine merino, 20 baby alpaca, 10 nylon, 400 yards in this 100-gram skein, so you know it's really a more plump yarn. But I love that it's just a little bit different yarn combination with that alpaca in it, the content. So that'll be really fun to knit something out of and wear and see how well it wears. And I love the green. And then the membership crate was this really cool marled-like DK weight. Vitellano Lofty DK, colorway was mistletoe. This is 48% merino, 20% baby alpaca, 32% organic cotton. It is so soft. It reminds me again of Woolfolk in that it is a chain ply, and that makes it such a light yarn. It's going to trap the air, but there's cotton in this one. So while the color maybe is not my favorite, I'm really looking forward to trying this one out as well. This month's Knit Crate, well, this is December's, had some really cute patterns in it. It had some cowls with really cute pom-poms, and then it had these leg warmers. You know, I saw someone wearing leg warmers the other day, just walking down the street, and it brought back such warm, fuzzy all of a sudden this warm fuzzy just came over me, and it brought back this nostalgic feeling of when I had leg warmers in grade school, and it just felt so warm, and it was just a neat little moment. It took me back. You know how smells bring you back sometime, or music? Well, the leg warmers did that to me. Anyway, that was my Knit Crate. Love, love Knit Crate. I cannot wait to get January's Knit Crate in the mail and share with you because it looks phenomenal. It is the membership crate. You get 2 skeins, but they are complementary skeins in that they've dyed them so that they both have a hand-dyed look, and they're going to coordinate instead of them both being the same dye job, I guess you'd say. So I'm excited for that. Another really fun thing, I won a prize. I started watching a podcast called The Fiber Love Diary with Trisha. I think she just goes by Trish. And she literally lives like an hour away from me. So when I don't know how, I think I just discovered, maybe she was recommended to me or something. And then when she said Michigan and where she's from, I had to look it up, and she's so close. So I've been watching her, and she's one of those podcasters that really does a lot of different fiber arts, and she doesn't seem to be afraid to just jump in and try new things. She loves to see the sheep, buy fiber from the farm, and watch it being processed from sheep to skein. And she also is a spinner. Her husband has made these spinning garages. They're basically the bookshelves on the sides of their fireplace. He's left open but put lighting in so she can put her 2 spinning wheels in there, and it just looks so cool. But anyway, I started watching her, and she definitely, I don't know, I just really connected with her when I was watching, and I'm excited to see what other things she does. She also weaves. I think maybe that's how I found her. It could have been. I was searching for weaving and I think I came across her that way. So anyway, she every month gets the Paradise Fibers monthly kit, which is for spinners. And she gives one away. She gets two and she keeps one and she gives one away. And I actually won I think this was maybe the November kit. Maybe it was the December kit because it is so cool. I was really unaware of this particular box, but it's all this really, really cool fiber. I wish I had the paperwork for it. I don't know where it went. I had it for such a long time, but I mean, look at this fiber. I think this is going to be so fun to spin up. It's fiber that I wouldn't normally buy. It's in a smaller amount so I can test it out and see if I enjoy spinning with it. And then I can play with it as well. There's just different types of fluff and fiber that I can use. And then if you look closely, there's little snowflakes in there. I can, I guess, try and spin those up into my yarn and make more like art yarn kind of things. I know I'm not talking correctly about this particular package, but I'm so thrilled to have won it and try it out. I'm envisioning my art yarn looking like, oh, what's her name? Amy. Oh, what's that art yarn? It's made in India. And it's got all the little flecks of different things like little flowers and sparkly things, and you can knit those big bulky sweaters. I'll put the name down below, but I'm envisioning some sort of Christmassy kind of yarn with those snowflakes in it. Also came with a really cute stitch marker with sparkle snow in there. So thank you, Trisha. Thank you so much. Okay, another thing I wanted to show you. I got sucked into this and I'm really excited about it. I just don't know when I'm going to do it. Have you seen that Fair Isle knit clock that's out there from Stephanie Earp? I'll put a picture right here of it. It's this really pretty Fair Isle. There's different versions, and if you can send away for the clock kit to put it together. So that's what I did, and you actually get a real record. And in here are the this is the mechanism, and then the hands are in here. And oh, how cute is this? Look at this button that came with it. I haven't even seen that. It's got moving hands. That is so cute. So cute. The record that I got is actually Noël's de Balbastre et de Dendru. I wonder what year this is from. It's a French record. I don't know, but I can't wait to put this together. I think it's going to be so fun. So fun. Okay, finally, I had a lovely lady contact me from Knit Pal. Have you guys heard of Knit Pal? And I think she contacted me because maybe she saw a while back that I was knitting up some University of Michigan knitwear for a football game that I was going to. Her name is Casey, and she runs Knit Pal. It's out of California. If you'll recall, I had a hard time finding my University of Michigan colors, and I ended up with a Lorna's Laces multicolor and mixed it with this gray to make this chevron-y kind of scarf. And I just bought a gray Michigan hat and made a pom-pom using the multicolor, and it worked well, but you know, I really wanted the actual colors. I got close. What this Casey does from Knit Pal is a lot of schools are represented on her website. She actually goes with the Pantone colors of your school. So I went on to the Michigan website, and they have a whole marketing section. And here are Michigan's colors. She even has the Pantone number, 282, Michigan, blue. And then this is Michigan Maize 7406. So I am going to knit myself up a color work hat, kind of like what I saw Yarn Hoarder. She goes to a lot of Chicago Bears football games, and she made these Fair Isle hats out of the Bears color for her family. I am going to copy that. Thank you, Amber, for the idea. And I'm going to go ahead and make Michigan Michigan Fair Isle hat. I'll include also like a cream or a white in it as well. So thank you so much, Casey. I am going to enjoy knitting with these, and I'll share with you, maybe I'll get them done in the next couple of months during this winter. I can tell you right now, the yarn is really, really soft. Really, really soft. It is 100% fine superwash merino. This is in the worsted weight, 218 yards. So it's a generous skein. The merino is from Peru, and it's hand dyed in Moorpack, California. So check out her website. Again, it's knitpal.com. Thank you again, Casey. Okay, so let's get to a few things that I'm loving lately. First, let me talk about 2 shows that I binge watched over the holidays. Well, I binged watched one over the last few months, and the latest season came out. Actually, that's the case for both of these. The first one, obviously, is The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Oh my goodness, if you have not watched this, please, it is such a fun, well-written, it's such a lively show. It's colorful. I love the dress, the way they dress in the 50s and 60s. I think they're in the 50s and 60s. I think we're going into the 60s now, but Mrs. Maisel is quite a character, and I have thoroughly enjoyed knitting while I'm watching that show. The other show, maybe you haven't heard of, it's called Seaside Hotel. It's actually in Danish with English subtitles. It took me about a second to forget about the subtitles and just enjoy, but at first it took me a little while to get back into watching something with subtitles. This show is so, I think, another one that's so well written. It's so interesting. The characters are just the way that the writers, the characters, you really get to love and hate some of them, and just really great character development. Again, this show takes place on the coast, I believe in Denmark, and it's the story of this seaside hotel. It's not a built-up area. It's one of the few hotels right there on the beach. It's like a big bed and breakfast, and it's about the staff at the hotel and about the wealthy people that come every summer to the hotel. So a little bit Downton Abbey, but no, it's like Downton Abbey, but at a beach house, and it's in the 1930s. So again, you have the beautiful clothes, just the interesting context that the story is in. I think many of you would really enjoy it. It's called Seaside Hotel. That I believe is on Amazon Prime, as well as Mrs. Maisel is. And Seaside Hotel only has 3 of the seasons out of, I believe, 5. So hopefully season 4 will come out soon. Another thing that I've been loving lately is on Sundays, Wool and Honey, the wonderful yarn store in Cedar, Michigan, has been putting out Sunday poems. And I am now finding that I'm looking forward to these poems every Sunday. You can tell that, I don't know which sister was maybe an English major. She loves the written word, you can tell. And the poems are always spot on with kind of what's happening in the world or in our weather, seasons, nature. So look for those if you haven't, and take the time to read the poem and read it really slowly. That's what I love about poetry. I read so fast during the day, everything that comes at me, but a poem, you kind of sit down and you really read each word and pause and think about what it meant. And along those same lines, I got an email from my Aunt Margaret a couple of weeks ago, and she showed me a poem written by Pablo Neruda. Hope I'm saying his name right. He was a Chilean, I think he was a politician, definitely an activist, but he's also a poet. And a lot of his poetry is about activism and more serious things than the poem that she sent to me, which I think is very applicable and many of us knitters would find very enjoyable. Pablo Neruda passed away in the 70s. He had a great influence on Isabel Allende, who is an author that I enjoyed reading when I was in my 20s and 30s. I haven't really read much of her lately, but it's a lot about South America. And the poem that Pablo Neruda wrote, probably in one of his he must have been in a more jovial mood and less of an activist kind of mode. It's called Ode to My Socks. by Pablo Neruda, and it was translated by Robert Bly. So join me for a little poetry before we close off today. Mara Mori, that's the name of a friend of Pablo Neruda's wife. Mara Mori brought me a pair of socks, which she knitted herself with her sheep herder's hands. 2 socks as soft as rabbits. I slipped my feet into them as if they were 2 cases, knitted with threads of twilight and goatskin. Violent socks. My feet were 2 fish made of wool, 2 long sharks, sea blue, shot through by 1 golden thread. 2 immense blackbirds, 2 cannons. My feet were honored in this way by these heavenly socks. They were so handsome for the first time, my feet seemed to me unacceptable, like 2 decrepit firemen unworthy of that fine woven fire of those glowing socks. Nevertheless, I resisted the sharp temptation to save them somewhere as schoolboys keep fireflies, as learned men collect sacred texts. I resisted the mad impulse to put them in a golden cage and each day give them birdseed and pieces of pink melon. Like explorers in the jungle who hand over the very rare green deer to the spit and eat it with remorse, I stretched out my feet and pulled on the magnificent socks and then my shoes. The moral of my ode is this: beauty is twice beauty, and what is good is doubly good when it is a matter of 2 socks made of wool in the winter. Ode to My Socks by Pablo Neruda. Everyone, I hope you have a great week. I hope you enjoy your knitting. I hope if you're knitting socks that you love them as much as Pablo Neruda, and have a great knitty week. We'll see you on the next episode of Treehouse Knits. Bye.